What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope that you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday evening. So, Mary J. Blige is being sued by her longtime friend and stylist, Misa Hylton. Now, you guys remember Misa Hylton? She was in the Biggie Smalls video. She she's the mother of Christian Combs, Sean Combs, Diddy's son. She was a stylist to like Jodeci, Mary J. Blige back in the day. You know, she's been in the game for a long time. And so now she is suing Mary J. Blige over Vado, who I have to be honest, I've never heard of until today, but over his career and forcing him to back out of a management deal. So let's go ahead and get into this article. It says in an explosive report on Tuesday, today, April 29th, all Hip Hop revealed that Milton is suing Mary J. Blige and her company, Beautiful Life Productions, of interfering with a signed management agreement between Vado and her company, MISA, her first name Misa. According to the documents, Hylton and Vado had signed their deal in July of 2023, which reportedly granted her company 20% of the Harlem's rapper's earnings. He then signed a distribution deal for his music in October of that year with Mary's Beautiful Life Productions. Okay, so just reading that, it seems like, they needed to sit down and have a talk with him because he's the one that is going back and forth between their two companies. But I'll continue. So in July of 2024, he had repeatedly finished his album, but Hylton alleges that Mary then threatened to shelve it and block his touring opportunities if he didn't break his management contract. She also alleged that Mary persuaded him to break the deal by courting him on private yachts, at exclusive events, and more, and that the main reason why Mary's security chief, who was also named as her boyfriend in the lawsuit, Messy, wanted to manage Vado by himself or for himself. So, Misa Hylton alleges that she has evidence in the form of private messages from Mary to Vado and argues that the singer's actions left Vado in an economic servitude, unable to earn income or repay the advances tied to his record deal. Not Mary J. Blige going down the same road that Diddy. Come on, Mary, you did not like the way Diddy and his bad boy contracts ripped everybody off. Don't go down that same road because you see what happened to him. You can never win when you're playing dirty, Mary. All right, anyway, she's seeking $5 million in damages for breach of contract, emotional distress, and interference with business relationships, as well as an injunction to prevent further disruption from Blige or her company. So Mary was also indirectly involved in a lawsuit last year, though it was her 1992 classic Real Love at the center of the issue. Tough City Records filed a complaint last April accusing UMG's publishing division of copyright infringement for allegedly using an unlicensed sample from the 1973 funk song, quote, Impeach the President, by the Honey Drippers on the Mary J. Blige track. The song, with its iconic drum beat, has been sampled hundreds of times by countless hip-hop artists, including Tupac, Biggie, Run DMC, Dr. Dre, and more. Most recently, it was sampled by Doja Cat on the song Can't Wait off of her 2023 album Scarlet. In the complaint, Tough City's attorneys say that they have advised defendant repeatedly of the presence of the uncleared sample on Real Love, but have been ignored. Mary J. Blige was not named in the suit nor accused of any violation. The suit also makes it clear that UMG Recordings, which owns the masters to Real Love, already reached an agreement for the sample, but they said that UMG's publishing division has refused to do the same. As noted by Billboard, it's unclear why the company waited more than 30 years to sue over it, especially when they have sued over that very sample in the past, including before Real Love even came out. Back in 1991, the company sued Sony Music and Def Jam, accusing Marley Marl of illegally sampling the track on LL Cool J's Around the Way Girl and 6 Minutes of Pleasure. Okay, So let's go back to Valdo and Misa and Mary. So that's a mess, right? So Vado, he's a Harlem rapper, but he's doing business with both of those ladies. So I'm not understanding why they can't sit down and come to some kind of agreement. But if Mary's trying to give him a shady contract, which again, that's unfortunate because of just the way that her contracts and everything that she's gone through in the record company. Um, but then I guess one could argue, that she feels like that's the way the business is done, and that was her model. But if this young man is he's an up and coming Harlem rapper, shout out to him, Valdo. But if he signed a deal with Mary and her company, Beautiful Life Productions, and at the same time signed a deal with Misa, then I feel like I don't know why she would be suing Mary and not the young man Valdo. I don't know. It's a little bit confusing to me. Um, it says by the time he finished his album in 2024, Hylton alleges that Mary threatened to shelve it and block his touring opportunities if he didn't break his management contract. So again, okay, so that's where the lawsuit comes in at, right? So Misa wants him to only work with her instead of with Mary J. Blige. And that's a problem because you can't have two contracts with two different management companies. So I feel like they need to get a lawyer, or some kind of, maybe not even a lawyer. Um, if they could have worked it out, but I guess they're no longer friends. I was going to say, kind of go to mediation, but I guess they're going to have to settle this in the courtroom. So um, I feel like, Valdo should probably have his own attorney as well. And I'm wondering if the contracts would even be valid if he signed with both Misa's company and Mary J. Blige's company. I feel like that would void each other out. That's not a very smart thing to do. It's not good business practices or ethical. It's not good business ethics at all. But and to be honest, like I said, I've never even heard of Valdo. Maybe he's big up in Harlem. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about him, over social media. I haven't seen any clips of his music. So 5 million is a lot for somebody who is, largely unknown. But hopefully, they can work this out. Uh, Mary J. Blige, her security chief, who's also naming her boyfriend in the suit, wanted to manage Vado himself. So listen, he sounds like he's a hot commodity. Shout out to Vado. If you got Mary J, her man, and Misa all fighting over you, you must have some talent, brother. So continue to do, continue to do, do your music, but get some good legal representation. And when you go to sign business contracts, try to go for ownership. That's one thing that this whole situation with, just a lot of artists, Anita Baker going back and getting her masters, Ryan Coogler going, getting his ownership over the film centers with Warner Brothers. Like ownership is so important, and I'm realizing that now. Even Taylor Swift, had to go back and get her masters, like because Mary J, as we learned in the article, she doesn't even have her masters for Real Love, and that was 30 years ago, right? That was one of my favorite songs when it came out. But UMG, they still own the master to that. Own your art, right? Whatever art form, writing, music, whatever it is, filmmaking, like Ryan, whatever it is, own whatever contract you sign, whatever you put your name to. It's really smart if you can afford to get a lawyer to look over it. Definitely read through it completely, but go for ownership. If you're putting out work into the world, you you want to be able to benefit from your labor. The last thing you want is to look back over your life and be like, man, you know, I broke my back for all these years and I made somebody else rich. No, you want to be able to eat off of the fruit of your own labor, especially while you're young and you're energetic and you're creative and you have a lot of time on your hands. So shout out to Vado. Sounds like he's doing his thing. I hope the Mary J and Misa can work it out. If not, like I said, go in the courtroom and battle it out. But you guys, let me know your thoughts about this lawsuit. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.